In today's Sharp Saturday video, we're going to take a look at a knife that I just bought from Kabar. It was on clearance and it is still available at the time of this video. Made in the USA, and it's a big old honking knife. It is the Kabar Zomstro. This one's got the zombie green handle scales. It's also got black scales if you're not into that. But I just couldn't resist, and that's what we're going to take a look at coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me for another Sharp Saturday video where it's Saturday and we take a look at something sharp. And as I said today, that something sharp is this big old honking Zomstro from Kabar. And I just couldn't resist this thing. Like I said, I bought this on clearance on their website, like 45 bucks, made in the USA. We're going to take a really close look at this thing and do some of that testing, and probably going to do a little balance testing on this one too in just a second. But first, quick shout out to my friend John at Hog Holsters. This video is sponsored by Hog Holsters. He makes the absolute best concealed carry holsters I've ever used, and you can save 10% on your Hog Holsters purchase at hogholsters.com using the coupon code Survival on Purpose, all one word. John, everything John makes is 100% made in the USA. Really, really good stuff. I just got some emails just this week, some comments thanking me for introducing people to John and to Hog Holsters. So I think you will be very, very pleased if you check them out. So anyway, that being said, we're going to get down to the old stump top now and get to doing some of that big old knife stuff. Before we get to doing the knife stuff, let's take a look at this thing, talk about the specs of this, because it's a pretty cool knife. I thought it was anyway, which is why I bought it. First of all, as I said, the knife is made in the USA. Talk about the blade. It features a 10 1/8 long by 2 7/8 wide at the furthest part by 1/4 inch thick at the spine. A cleaver style blade. The steel is 1095 Crovan steel. It features a flat grind with a 20-degree edge bevel with a Rockwell hardness of 56 to 58. The handle is made of what they're calling GFN-PA66, which is glassfield nylon. Zytel is the brand name people are most familiar with. It comes with these zombie green scales. It also comes in the box with some black ones if you don't like this. I kind of like this because if you lose this in the woods, then you're really not looking for it. The overall length of this thing is 15.5 inches, and it weighs 1 pound, 10 ounces. It's a hoss. It comes with this even hossier nylon sheath with an insert, a plastic insert here. It has a snap closure here. It's MOLLE compatible. A lot of you can molly the heck out of this thing. It also features a pouch on the front. It's got a little bit more of this lanyard in it, and pretty good sized pouch. You can put a lot of stuff in there, and it even has a little small. I don't really know how big this is, but it looks like it's about that long. So a small insert in here that you can put a smaller knife in too, so you can do some smaller tasks, which is pretty cool. And then belt loop here that is not Velcro. It's just so it's a good solid belt loop there. And the sheath itself is, and also, oh, I'm sorry, it also has a little lock on here to cinch that up. A little Velcro place here for a patch. Now the sheath is made in China. The knife is made in the USA. And as I said, right now, this is on clearance on Kabar's website for about 45 bucks, I think. Everywhere else I checked, it still has it at the regular price of 70 to 100 bucks. So it's a really good deal on this knife right now. If you like these big honkers, I like big honkers. Talk about the, I don't know what this hole's for. My son asked me what that's for. I think it's just a design thing. It's got this kind of a rough coating on it. Get a little close up of that. I'll give you a close up of the blade, what I'm talking about. Got this rough coating on it. Kabar USA. The handle's got a little kind of a grippiness on it. A little bit of a swell in them. It's kind of a 3D handle, a little bit of a swell thickness right there. And then it also has this big hook on the end for chopping, little finger groove here. And so you can get close up with it. Hopefully you can get close up for some carving. If you want to do some chopping, you can hook way back here and really get some leverage with it. One thing I wanted to show you, I was really impressed by, if I can get a focus on this, is the edge. This edge is completely even, and it's ground all the way down to the very bottom. Very, very, very nice and even. You know, if you get a close-up of that, I mean, it is really, really well done. You can usually tell by the tip. Now this tip, I'll be honest, it's pretty thin right here. Because if you can look at how it tapers down really thin at the tip there. Can we get a focus on it? I don't know if we can even focus on that, but it's this very pointy here is very, very, very pointy, but also very thin. So I'm a little concerned about the balance testing. I'm not at all concerned about chopping because it is really made to chop. This is a, by golly, zombie chopper. But I'm not too concerned about batoning. Although a flat grind is not the best for batoning because it doesn't really, I like a saber grind. It has a quick split, kind of splits quicker because it comes out to the full width of the spine quicker. But this is a full flat, so pretty good for cleaving and slicing and stuff like that. So without any more of my ridiculous rambling, let's get to doing some of that knife stuff. You want to? Okay, so first, before we do any heavy duty knife stuff, I think we need to stick with the industry standard testing and check the sharpness of this thing with the industry standard, I think even worldwide industry standard, redneck sharp test. Let's do that first, and then we'll get to doing some of that chopping stuff. Okay, so we're gonna take our testing medium here, and we're just gonna see, oh my gosh. Wow. I wanna check all parts of the blade, but that is, oh man. Okay, wow. I don't know if you can see that, but that sucker is, by golly, sharp. As I've said before, I mean, that's Shavy Yak sharp right there. That thing is, by golly, got an edge on it for a big old knife like this. So, you know, somebody's gonna wanna see this, so let's just see. Okay, man, this thing is sharp. Okay, I'll just tell you, it is sharp. Okay, now let's see. It's a chopper, so why don't we do a little chopping? And I got this, by golly, big old hunk of privet here, which is sure enough heavy duty. I mean, it really is hard. Look, so I'm gonna chop on it for a minute. Let's see what happens. Get back, Kuma, you don't wanna be around. Oh man, look at that. Woo-wee, just look at it. Man, it's in there too. It bit in. All right, let's see. Man, it is biting in so deep. It's hard to get it out. I really need to be wearing gloves because hitting on the handle to pull it out, it's hurting my hand. Let's see if I can turn it over. Okay, wow. I've chopped on this thing with a lot of different stuff. This thing, absolutely, it bites in. Now, again, because of that full flat grind, I think that's why it wants to kind of get stuck, because it doesn't really have anything to kind of wedge it out. But try this. You want to? Okay. This is just fun, man. I'm having fun with this thing. Ready to try this. Oh man. Look at that. Look at that. It's sucker. Ooh, it's scary sharp, man. Scary sharp. But let's just see how well it does that, you know, smaller, more fine stuff. Fire starting kind of stuff's what we're talking about here. Let's try that now. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna baton this down just a little bit. Something more reasonable, just to get some edges that we can carve some curls on. Okay, one more. But now this wood feels wet. It's been raining all night. It's been out in the wood, but it just feels cold. But we're going to try to give it some curls and see what we can do with this thing. Oh my gosh. So those are kind of big. I need some little tiny ones, which is not usually easy to do with a big old knife, but let's just see. I mean, these are really, really fine curls. I mean, I'm just letting it run down. And just almost no pressure from my hand, just almost letting the gravity do it. Not quite. I mean, I'm pushing a little bit, but not much. Wow. Okay, just look at this. I want you to look at these curls. Can you see those? Look at that. Now, they're so tiny and fine. And what I think is pretty cool is that, you know, as big as this blade is, it is so sharp out here that I'm actually able to get some pretty decent curls carving all the way out here on the end. It's just so sharp you don't have to put very much pressure on it. You really do have some good control. Look at that. And if you slice way down like that, you can kind of get, man. And then right up here, you even got a little more control, but you really don't need it. What this thing does not seem to have is a sharp spine. So we're going to go ahead and get my fat wood out of storage here. And you can see it's pretty stinking wet, right? So move this over here out of the way. We're going to carve us off, not just wet and dirty, we're going to carve us off a hunk of this thing. Get back, Kuma, get back. Okay. Now, back in storage. Okay. And all I'm trying to do is get a corner that doesn't have the outside on it. Just an inside corner so I can carve some little curls. Little fat woody curls. So I'm doing this for two reasons. Reason number one is plainly because sometimes when this wood over here is kind of damp, and you don't have a really good spine, so you don't get as good as sparks off the ferro rod, then you don't get, it takes a lot, it's a lot harder to get that thing to actually ignite. And fat wood is a lot easier to ignite. And reason number two is plain and simple because I love me some fat wood. So and if I get an opportunity to use it, I like to, because it smells so good. First of all, just smell that. Oh man, oh golly, just smell it. Oh wow. It smells good before it's burning. It smells good when it's burning. And it's just, man, it's a great thing. It's God's golden goodness. Okay, so, all right, now I got some fat wood here. So we're going to try this on just the wood first, just the privet. I don't even know if it's going to strike anything off this spine, but got my second favorite ferro rod here, my Exotech Fire Rod XL. And my experience is that these knives that have this rough coating on them, sometimes you just got to get the kind of got to get the coating kind of roughed up there. Nothing that a file wouldn't solve, but nope, she's not going to work. So we'll go to my favorite ferro rod now. And we got some pocket fuzz in there. And let's see. As I said, this is kind of wet. So, but what we can do is we can put this on it. I guarantee it'll burn. Now watch this. Oh yeah, there we go. She's rocking now. That right there is why I love me some fat wood. What can we do now? Chuck Norris went to a feminist convention, and the women there ironed his shirts, and made him some sandwiches. Okay, well that was some ordinary, everyday, kind of practical knife testing stuff with the Kabar Zomstro. What kind of a name is that? And just my takeaway from that is I was really amazed at the sharpness of this thing, because usually a big knife like this is not that sharp. We've looked at some smaller knives that weren't that sharp on the channel. This thing, absolutely, wow, shaving sharp right out of the box. Great chopper. The only really the only issues I had with chopping, it was such a good chopper, it just bit into the wood so well, and that was some pretty hard dense wood. Like I said, this flat grind doesn't really have as much of a wedge for splitting, chopping out, so it wants to embed itself deeply, which could be what you're looking for. Really good on that. Obviously you can beat the heck out of this thing with a baton. Same issue with the wedge. And then carving, I had no doubts because of the edge of it, but what really amazed me was, usually on a big knife like this, you know, you got to really choke up and get right here to do any serious carving. But because the edge is so sharp, I was able to even get way out here on the end and carve some pretty good feathers with it, because you just didn't take a lot of pressure because the edge is so sharp. The handle's pretty comfortable for no gloves. The only really issues I had was trying to slam my hand into it to beat it out of the wood, but altogether really good. Absolute fail on this ferro rod striking. Surely you could fix that with a little file or something, but out of the box, just not good for ferro rod striking. And you got to be careful because it's a big old sharp blade. So I thought before we get into the scientific portion of our testing, we just kind of do a follow-up and see, after a little bit of chopping, pretty good bit of chopping actually, and some other stuff, if this thing still passes the redneck sharp test. We'll see. It's been pretty good bit of abuse. We'll try the other medium. I don't know what's going on there, but oh my gosh, I can tell right now. It is, by golly, look at that. Every area of the blade still just, man, they got this sucker sharp. Okay. That's great. But as you know, here at Survival on Purpose, we are all about the science. And to that end, we maintain a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge knife testing facility at our worldwide headquarters here. And one test that you know I really like to do on all fixed blade, full tang knives. By the way, I didn't mention, but this is full tang. It's a test the aerodynamic balance on our balance, orientation, and rotation device. So I think we should do that. You want to? Let's try. Proper scientific method is, as always, important. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh man, then we got away from me. The little hook caught my pinky, so let me try a different grip. Wait, whoop, 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 whoop. Oh man. Oh, a little more calibration needed. The problem is, if you stick it in straight, it's not going to really work. So, really having to adjust the calibration on this one. But those stayed in the target. So, ooh, 3 hits, 2 misses. Let's try again. Oh, what are you doing, Kuma? Come here, buddy. Okay, we'll give it one more try. Okay, one more. I really want to stick it in like that, but let's just see. Okay, we're going to call that one balanced. Okay. All right. Oh, I wanted to show you real quick. In spite of all the aerodynamic testing against the balance, orientation, and rotation device here, this tip is absolutely undamaged. No bends, no anything. It's still pointy sharp. So that was hopefully reasonably coherent and fun look at this Zomstro knife from the folks at Kabar. And honestly, when I picked this thing out, I thought, you know what, that just looks like that would be fun to review. Sometimes fun is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with fun. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. I know there's going to be somebody commenting on this video like, that's blah, 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 negative this or negative that thing's not practical, whatever. First of all, as you saw, it actually did the knife stuff really, really well. Surprisingly well. Literally, if you got a yak you need to shave, this thing can do it. But it's also good, clean fun. And you know, I know the zombie green things, whatever but it does come with black handles for those of you who don't like to party. So that's the Kabar Zomstro. I hope this has been helpful. I really appreciate you watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival is not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time. The Kabar Zomstro. What the heck is this thing called? Okay, so that was some regular knife stuff with the, what do they call this thing? Zombie killer thing.